Ooh, everybody, we have quorum.
We do.
Well,
That means it's time to get the clap.
It's time to get the clap, everybody.
Oh, cool. I haven't done that. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do a podcast about the first time you got the clap.
I'm always looking for topics.
Hello and welcome to the Gamebrew Podcast, episode 34. I am your host, Ian, Dr. Light Richard, and I am joined by Dan, Dr. Wiley Rotz.
Oh, I'm the bad guy? Yeah, I've got a mustache.
Allison, the Blue Bomber Vandervander.
Yes.
Chris Rush Wrights.
I'm so fast.
And Rachel Zero Drain.
Wait, what the shit does that mean?
That means that you're like the cooler version of Mega Man. Like there's regular Mega Man, and then there's Zero, who's like.
What about
Mega
Proto
Man
Man?
on
Yeah,
steroids.
what about Proto Man?
Proto Man sucks.
Proto Man is a hack.
All right, then,
Sucks.
yeah, fuck.
You say that to his
Proto
face.
Man.
I will, because he sucks.
All right, I'll take you.
Today, in the first half of the show, we've brought a wonderful person on to visit, who we'll talk about in a minute. And then in the second half, we'll be talking about how games affect our lives. But first, it's time for a beer.
Hey, Dan, what are we drinking this week?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Just throw it at Dan.
Oh, that's fine. Ian did all the research for it, but I'll tell you what it is.
No, it's fine. It's fine, Chris. It's fine.
Did anyone just see what happened to Rachel?
No, I missed it.
She just chugged on her first one, and it got all over her.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the Gamebrew, Rachel.
Do it again.
This is
Half
how
of that was
this is how we do.
All right.
Yum.
No, well, I mean, I recommended that we drink this because it's my new favorite IPA to drink. It's Lord Hobo Boom Sauce, which is really, really yummy.
Can you taste the hints of boom?
And the sauciness of it. It's very saucy. But it's an IPA from the breweries in Woburn, Massachusetts.
It's definitely how they talk in Massachusetts.
Yes, indeed. You from Massachusetts? Hell yeah, I am.
Massachusetts.
7.8% ABV. It's a Pilsner malt, so it uses oats, and it uses oats wheat, and Ella, Mosaic, and Falconer's Flight hops. Pretty nice. It's got a nice citrus and tropical fruit finish.
This is a beer that I'd put in the like medium to light IPA-ness.
Yeah.
It is incredibly drinkable.
Like a session IPA?
No, it's too high. I would say that's too high in alcohol for session. For me, but I am super sensitive to all things. So I would actually put this more medium as far as bitterness.
Yeah, and it's not super bitter. I don't like really bitter IPAs, so this is like, for me, this is like a nice, I can drink a lot of these. Me and my brother do that constantly with Boom Sauce.
Yeah,
Dan, we've been meaning to talk to you about this, actually.
Oh my God, is this an intervention?
Dan,
Is that what that sign
it needs
is?
to stop, Dan. We love you.
Listen, I can stop anytime I want,
This
okay?
is how your boom sauce has affected my life.
So it's good. It's got like a nice, very crisp finish to it, which I appreciate.
It's very easy to double fist, I must say. Yeah.
Okay,
But hard
That
to,
going on.
Especially with those
hard
nice
to chug,
big cans.
apparently.
Yeah. Don't chug if you have a snotty nose.
Fun fact, if you go to their website and you look at the about of the people who work there, like the first person is like the CEO and like head of everything, and he's got like this rad like motorcycle man beard. The second person is his dog on the company website.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Nice.
It's pretty great.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Name
Priorities.
is Boss, Chief Dog Officer. Favorite Lord Hobo beer, the Kong.
Good times.
I have 19 crimes and not your father's mountain ale. That's it. Just the same thing I drank once before on here, and then I had this in the fridge, so we're hitting that.
Yo,
right
I get.
now.
Nice.
If I drink not your father's mountain ale, I do not. I drink like 4 of those because
It's the dew.
you can't tell.
They're like
it's alcohol.
soda. It's bad. It's really
it's the
bad,
dew.
to be honest.
And Chris, what are you drinking?
Yeah, so I couldn't find the beer. Apparently
that's right.
they don't deliver to Maryland.
It's only 2 hours south. That's ridiculous.
I know so I got some Sweetwater Hop Hash Easy IPA. So it kind of sounds like I'm getting a similar experience.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Okay.
Sure.
Easy,
Very
like a
easy to
Sunday
drink.
morning.
More of a session. Pretty low in alcohol for an IPA.
And
Can
hop
crush a bunch.
hash is sort of a nice little coda to your trip in Colorado, I imagine.
Well, they have a lot of beers. I think they make Sweetwater. Sweetwater does make 420. They do have a lot of
Is it a
references.
Colorado brewery?
No, it's actually from Atlanta.
Interesting.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, spot on.
Yes,
with
that
the,
is exactly how they
Spot on with
speak.
the accents tonight, Daniel.
Thank you. That's how they all talk in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. So now, what have we been playing this week, folks?
Freaking Lego games, thanks to
It's
Johnny
Lego
Two
Games
Hammers.
Week.
Fucking
Thanks to Johnny
Johnny
Two
Two
Hammers.
God, I hate that guy. Just let me tell you, I hate that guy. He's the worst.
Really?
Do you not like Lego games? That's so sad. I feel sad. I was glad.
No,
we had
I'm
to
more
play these.
upset that he tied me up. He's just not nice. He's not nice.
I found that fun. I wasn't there, so I found that fun later.
Yeah, I know
All
you're
right.
like,
All right. So what were you playing, Allison?
I played the complete saga Star Wars Legos, which was awesome.
Like all of it?
Is that 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3 complete saga?
Yeah. I feel like we should edit this out, but this is the part we're going to talk about Lego stuff, right? Or are we going to do that?
No,
Yeah,
we're not
yeah,
going to do it
this is the
separately.
I
Lego
just wanted to
business.
make sure. I read through and I meant
I'm
to ask
leaving
that
that in.
before we
I'm
started.
leaving
Lego.
it in. There you
Lego.
go.
I really liked it and equally hated it at parts. Overall, I like Lego games, is what I'll say. I think they're fun. I like picking them up, putting them down. I've played a few of them. This is one I hadn't played yet. And it was a 360 game. So maybe that's why, because this is one of the first and they hadn't kind of nailed everything down, I feel like. But in this one, the vehicles were obnoxious, which is one of the parts I thought I'd love about the Star Wars games, because when I was growing up and saw some of the movies, I wanted to drive those vehicles. But the steering was impossible. They didn't explain how to do anything in the vehicle. So they just throw you into these like race time trials or a box area where you have to drive around and there's someone shooting at me and I have to go like this and figure out how to shoot at them and I'm hitting walls and dying, and it was really messy at those parts. But there were also really fun things, like I killed Jar Jar Binks 20 times and got an achievement called Crowd Pleaser.
That's great.
There were really cool fun parts, and it had the magic of Star Wars for me and brought in the smart little fun things that Legos do and bring the game into a different place than just a Star Wars game.
That was very thorough. Thank you, Allison.
Oh, you're welcome.
Dan.
Even though I seemed ill-prepared.
Yeah. Dan, now match that level. That was like high quality reporting of what she's been playing. Like, she set the bar high.
So I did the Lego movie game, was the one that I was required to play, and that was it was good, Lego game, mash X a bunch. You have to be different characters who do different things, which was kind of interesting. One of the things about this one, which was kind of neat, was that I think this was like one of the first ones that had like an open world concept to it.
Oh, cool.
So that like in the game, you'd finish part of it and then you could either go on to the next part of the quest or like just mess around in like just the Lego, either like Awesome Town or the Wild Wild West or wherever you were, because it was the Lego movie game. This was actually the thing that impressed me the most. So since it's the Lego movie game, there's like clips from the movie in it. So there's like, wow. Chris
Elizabeth
Pratt,
Banks.
Morgan Freeman, Elizabeth Banks,
Will Ferrell?
Will Ferrell, that's who I was thinking of, couldn't remember. So there's clips of them in it, and then they switch into the game to like the characters having voices, and it's different voice actors, but they sound so similar to the actual actors. It's uncanny. Like
That's nice. That's a nice sign of like people paying attention to quality. That's good.
it is, and it's like so much so I had to IMDb the game to be like, are these the real people doing it? I couldn't imagine Morgan Freeman saying, I'm going to sit down and record the audio for this Lego game for everybody here. I sip my tea and then talk about some penguins later.
I could imagine Morgan Freeman doing that, actually. So
I could too.
Generally positive.
Yeah.
Kind of like a
Yeah, it was-
regular sort
Yeah,
of.
I mean, it's a Lego game. You could literally sit there and just press X a bunch and things would happen and it'd be great.
you'd
It's
win.
great. Yeah,
And you
you'd
can't
win.
die.
You can't die. I love that part.
Chris, what about you, man? What did you do?
In the Lego game, you cannot die. but there's still ways you can not finish levels. I found this out.
Oh. Wait, so which one were you? Wait, what were you playing?
I was playing Batman, the Lego Batman 3.
Lego Batman 3?
Beyond Gotham.
And you were playing a port of it?
Well, I was playing on PC.
Oh, okay.
And so I imagined that this was made for consoles and then ported to PC. And
that makes sense.
It has a lot of issues. So I had to do the same level 3 times to finally get through it.
Because it was crashing?
It wasn't crashing. It's just that something wouldn't trigger in the level or crash.
Oh, wow. That's bad.
So that was kind of frustrating and kind of turned me off. I mean, it was, other than that, it was fine. There was like nice little puzzles that could be fun. It's definitely a game that would be fun to play with other people. And I've done that before. I played the first Lego Batman with a friend a couple years ago, and that was a lot of fun. Like, we were just drinking and having a blast. And like, there's really corny jokes, which I love corny jokes.
Yeah.
Kind of a mixed bag for me.
The Lego movie was like nothing but dad jokes the whole time.
Oh, and I loved it.
That's very
Yes.
very theme oriented. Yeah. So because I was traveling when we were doing this, I played Lego Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril, which is not the same as Lego Marvel Superheroes. It's like a double Lego Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril. There's two colons.
So many. It's double colons, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
a lot of colons.
Like conjoined twins or something. And
Do you need a colonoscopy after that? Oh,
nice.
Dad jokes.
Nice.
Dad jokes. Oh,
Rachel didn't like that.
I love me.
No,
Okay.
I love terrible jokes. For whatever reason, Chris's comment about like how many colons there were shot my mind straight to Human Centipede. And so that's where I was like, so
That's
it's
not my
totally
fault.
not on you, Alex.
No, I'm going to blame you. Yeah.
Bring them on.
Thank you.
Yes.
yeah, so
Paladin Dance loved that.
and it was fine. So this is a mobile game for Android and for iOS, and mobile games to me basically like they live and die by their control schemes. If it's an action game, it's really hard to nail a good double joystick on a touchscreen. In this game, it was not great at all.
I haven't seen that done well.
There was what is the game?
Fortnite?
No. Well, yeah, actually
PUBG?
Fortnite has pretty decent digital controls, but there's like a zombie game that has good. Okay, anyway, we're going to cut this shit out anyway. But it was fine. It was fine.
Not wrong.
It was a Lego game. There were a ton of Marvel characters in it. There were characters that I wanted to play, so I guess that's good, but it didn't really grab me at all.
So overall thoughts on Lego games?
If I had a young cousin or like a niece or a nephew who was like, I want to play a video game, I'd be like, I have the game for you.
Yes,
You
I
know,
agree.
Totally.
That's kind of something my best friend, he and his son play the Lego games a lot because it's 2-player oriented, and you know he can his son can just go and punch things, and because his son's young and he can actually complete the tasks, and they have a lot of fun together just kind of playing through it. And I do feel this game is enjoyed in pairs probably more than it and with younger people than it is for maybe our demographic. I enjoy the cuteness brought to some kind of intense stories. So I would love to play it with him because I think he would get something out of it, but I can also still enjoy it. I'm not just sitting there like, I am so sick of playing Minecraft. Yeah, this game's great. It's a game where we can both enjoy it.
That's what we've been playing this week. And we have a special guest this week who I also want to introduce. Can I use your... It's not you, Chris. You're not special.
Damn.
Boom.
That's from the boom sauce. You got boom sauce.
Gamebrew fact, Chris isn't special.
So this...
Oh.
Putting it in the
Wait,
document.
that means it's not
Throwing
true.
it in the Google Doc.
Put it in the book.
It does mean it's not
Fact
true.
from
You're
now
good
on.
then.
So this is a dear friend of ours who's joining us today, and we're so glad to have her on the podcast. Her name is Rachel, and she's a friend of ours from James Madison University, among other things. It's sort of our common denominator here. And she is joining us from the Putting Out podcast.
Yeah.
So first, I want to talk about the Putting Out podcast itself because I think it's totally amazing, and I really love the concept of the show. And then I'm going to ask you what you were playing this week. So if you could tell us maybe just like about what the podcast is about first, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah, sure. So I guess the full title is Putting Out with Rachel, the acronym spelling POWER, which sort of like is...
Whoa!
I know.
Oh, you just...
I didn't even realize it was an acronym until just
You just
now.
meta boom sauced all over his face.
Meta boom sauce.
Mind blown noise.
Now I'm like-
entered.
I've also blown a lot of minds this week with people didn't know that stripper poles spin, and so I posted. I posted a video from class, and people were like, "How do you have that momentum? Like that's not how physics works."
I actually didn't know that either.
That would be painful.
Oh, yeah.
Do people not think about those
Well,
things?
you can do spins.
Metal burn?
Oh no, girl! If you could see my legs right now, all black and blue. Like
Yeah,
it is
right.
painful to fuck. No, not. Never mind. I meant to an extreme. God damn it!
Keeping it in.
It is painful as fuck.
Thank you.
This is a
was
family
the
podcast.
hashtag fix
This
of
is
that.
hashtag don't bring your kids.
Hashtag sorry, Dan's mom.
I was gonna get weird halfway through the boom sauce. I'm sorry.
I think the real problem is more people need to get on his stripper pole so they understand how they work. That's the reality here.
Anyway, sorry. Back to Putting Out with Rachel, my great podcast, which is also not family recommended. I curse a lot. So it's like a podcast aimed at encouraging people to like push themselves outside of their comfort zones, try new things that they never thought they would as a form of self-care. And it was something that I personally did when I was like recovering from my own stuff with depression. Like I just started one thing at a time. I would like go to a weekly drag show with a friend whose friend was competing, and then like I started teaching beer yoga, and then I tried Muay Thai, and then I was dating, and so like doing all these things just helped me learn a lot more about myself and also be like less afraid to be myself and to do crazy ass shit. Also, like as being like a musician for so long, I was taught like you have one thing, you have one identity, you have one thing that you must be excellent at. And when I lost that, it was like, what am I doing with my life? Who am I? So I like being the champion of just having many interests. Because I think sometimes that's looked down upon.
Pursuing your curiosity instead of pursuing your passion.
Yeah, and I actually just heard, what's her nuts? Elizabeth Gilbert say like that she's not so much about like passion, but like about curiosities, because like it's like because passion is so it comes and goes. Like even if you're doing what you love, like there's boring parts of whatever you do. Like that whole like if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life is kind of because there's always boring stuff to do, like to get things done. And so like it's okay to try something out for a short period of time, get what you get from that, and then move on, and it not being like a failure, and it not being like you messed that opportunity up, but you just sort of like gained some experience and moved on to the next level or whatever you want to think of it.
That's awesome. As I understand, like one of the recent things that you're doing is you've like decided to spend some time playing video games as part of your podcast.
Yeah, I have.
So tell us what you've been playing.
Okay, so this week I spent some time with another JMU alum who lives in Philly with me, and he had me over and he watched me play Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Nice.
On his Switch, and then I played Overwatch for the first time. Zelda was beautiful, like I've heard of it, and it was just, I mean, it was fun. It's sort of weird. I've never felt comfortable with like people watching me play games, especially for the first time.
So just for a little bit of background, have you ever played games in the past, or was this literally your first time playing video games?
No, I grew up with, we had Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo, and then Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 2. So we had, and I mostly did it because my sister would do it, and I had to beat her at it just because that's how sisters work.
That's
how siblings
my
work.
mantra with how I started playing everything too. I get
Must
you.
be this person. But then, like, after she moved out, and, like, definitely by the time I got to college, it, like, petered out, and I mostly did N64 Mario Kart when I was drunk.
Yeah.
And...
It's good life
Yes,
choice.
thank you.
Classic drunk
Yes,
driving.
thank you. Yes.
That's the only type of drunk driving you should do. Hashtag drink
Yes,
responsibly.
please. Know your limits. And so, so I had played before, and I did have a boyfriend a couple years ago who's very much, he has his own, like, YouTube gaming channel thing, and he's very much into video games, and he tried to get me to play them, but he would watch me play them as well, and there was, like, so much expectation. It was like when you show someone a really funny video, and you're, like, waiting for them to laugh.
You just sit there looking at them like, oh,
Yeah.
there's the part.
The part,
You like it, right?
the part right here.
And I just felt like there was right and wrong way to play it, and, like, I did not like that feeling.
Wait, what game was this?
Oh,
What
there
game
were so many. I know he's big on. Oh shit! What is this one? It's
I've never heard that.
What?
Oh shit! What is this one? I've never heard of.
Yeah,
that game.
it's it's an indie game. Yeah, it's limited.
You know, I've kind of found that with people. They're the gaming type I like to call elitists, where they're really good at stuff, and then they critique you, and it's not even intentional. It's like it's just their knee-jerk reaction to be like, "You could do this better by blank," or "This is how you should have done that," and the whole time that they're behind you, like saying those things. It makes you snap. I actually broke up with a guy and that was one of the reasons. I know that's terrible.
No,
there are many
that's not
reasons.
terrible at
There are
all.
many reasons.
He deserved it.
But he also told me I sucked at a game and how I should play it better, and so it kind of set me off.
That's like indicative.
That's ridiculous.
That's like indicative of
And
so
kind of
much.
abusive.
Yeah, like that's indicative of
It
other
was.
shit.
It's a little mentally.
Ugh.
It's mentally abusive, and you don't realize how much that breaks you down until you realize it, and then it's like, oh shit. No. But no, that's definitely something that I can't do is have somebody watch me and critique me in a negative manner without good intentions.
Yeah.
Right. So Rachel, what were your thoughts generally on Breath of the Wild? I'm curious. Aside from it being beautiful, did you enjoy playing it? Did you find yourself like wanting to be in that world, or was it something that you kind of bounced off of? It's a pretty for someone who doesn't have like a whole lot of experience with gaming, or who maybe has been away from it for a while. That's a heavy lift.
Yeah. It's sort of hard to say because it wasn't like just me doing it on my own. Like even though Dan, my friend, is not this one, different Dan.
Yeah, it's not me. I'm the worst.
It was definitely. I was definitely not hanging out with Dan. This Dan. So this other, the better Dan, he was very supportive, and he was like even like encouraging me along the way, and you know, explaining things if I asked for it, but not like being very heavy-handed and asking questions along the way how I was feeling. But even I'm just kidding, Dan. Even though that was like the case, it's still like it's that principle of like the observed being watched will change.
I see.
Right.
But it was beautiful, and I could see myself having fun with it. And he had me start a game, and then he was like, "Do you want to see like what it's like where I'm at?" And so he put me in where he currently is. So I rode a horse around, and then accidentally.
Epona.
Yeah, it was Broomhilda is the name of the horse.
Nice.
And
there's no Epona in.
Oh no!
There's
See,
one.
I haven't
Epona
played
like
that yet.
There's like, well, that's not true. You can like get like one of the amiibos that
That's
does
true,
have
but
like
you have
the
to have the
Epona.
thing.
Yeah. You have to spend
Sorry.
real money, and that's like
Sorry,
that's what
Rachel,
it is.
you were riding a horse.
I was riding a
and
horse and I accidentally set it on fire, and it was very traumatic. So that's where we ended things,
That's
and then went to
awesome.
Overwatch. So
Yeah, that one.
right.
So Overwatch is another game that's like really big in the gaming world right now, and it's like huge in esports, and it's definitely not something that I think the average gamer who is trying to get another gamer into gaming would recommend. So what did you think about Overwatch? Because it's a complex game as well.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting because, like, I think going into it, I thought of first-person shooter type games as mostly like the military or like the very realistic
Call of
ones.
Duty?
Yeah, like Call of Duty. And I'm so not about those. Like, it's just, it doesn't feel fun to me. So, like, the more cartoony, that was a pleasant surprise for me. It seemed fun. It seemed like something I could, again, get into if I had more time to, like, learn and practice. The main reason I think that he wanted me to try it was the voice chat element, to, like, get that experience with potentially other players. Which was the most terrifying, which ended up being baby children. And I started, like, talking existentialism with, anyway.
Welcome to online gaming.
Yeah, and
I hope you changed some minds.
I doubt it.
You know, maybe I didn't fuck his mom. Maybe I didn't. And that's okay.
That's right. But yeah, no, I there was one person who told us to shut up because Dan was, like, telling me what to do throughout the whole thing, and so that was, like, the worst we got. I think we did an easy level thing, and then we went to, like, where their levels actually are, and it was just insanity.
Right. So you did a bot match for a little while.
That was too much.
No. Well, okay, so the bot match one was the one where you were Bastion and you were just, like, plowing people down.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the real one would be the one where it was too much, probably.
Yeah, that one was too much. Yeah, honestly, the chat scared me the most out of anything, for sure.
That's interesting. Did it live up to your scary expectations? Like, was it as bad as you thought it would be or not?
No, it did. I guess, like, most of my exposure to the chat stuff has been through, like, feminist literature. So, like, I went to see Anita Scarcesian. Oh, shit. Did I just butcher her name?
I hope so.
Great. She was a part of Gamergate. She came to a local university.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw her talk, and she played a recording of one woman who just was receiving, like, all of this terrible, just, like, hate. And, like, for no reason other than maybe her, you know, being a woman or whatever. So, like, I think I was expecting the worst. The worst I got was shut up, and I made friends with a couple of preteens, or maybe younger.
Nice.
So, really, yeah, it was a pleasant surprise.
I feel like that's what you'll notice as a girl is either people will be extra nice or extra fuck off. And you will get no in between.
Interesting.
My brother plays a lot of Fortnite. I play a lot of Fortnite too. I'm not going to hide that.
That's not that big of a game. It's a kind of indie.
It's kind of a little game. Yeah. Fork knife? Is that what it's called?
Fortnite.
My brother plays a lot of Fortnite, and he's found himself playing. I don't play as much with random people because I don't know. I guess it's just my personality. But he likes to play in the squads with just like sometimes people who come out. And there's been a couple times where he's just like, "Yeah, I'm friends with this person on Xbox now." And sometimes they'll invite me to play, and I think they're like in middle school or something like that. And it's just like you're just hanging out with middle schoolers. He's like, "Yeah, you know, we're just playing video games. It's fine." And it's like. It's like, yeah, you're just playing games. So it's not like a huge deal. And you don't think about that most of the time. Yeah. But yeah, there's like hanging out with 12-year-olds after work.
And Better Dan told me about how, sorry. You're editing this. You can edit that out.
He's gone. He's gone. He's fine.
He told me about how I think he said it was Overwatch just implemented like a good Samaritan type thing.
Yeah, so what they did was they made it so that basically you can like gain points and levels by being someone who benefits the team, not just like by killing people, but also being like, hey, everybody, you're doing a good job, or like, we should all go after this guy, or like, this is our strategy. So it's sort of like a big community bring together thing where you can gain levels literally by just being a good Overwatch citizen. And it seems to be working, which is blowing my mind.
I love it so much. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
It sucks that you have to reward people to be nice for them to be nice.
Well, but I don't know. That's just life.
Yeah.
Like,
but it shouldn't be.
I'm not shocked.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like, I I work with middle schoolers and younger all the time, and that's what you do to teach people how you want them to act in social situations is you give them positive feedback. And in video games, positive feedback means you see levels go up. Like, it's just what it is. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it. Yeah. And especially if it makes the community better and safer for everyone, like, I'm all for it.
Yes, agreed.
It's like literally free for them to do that. So,
Rachel, did you have a favorite character that you played from Overwatch? Because one of the great things, I don't know if you know this, so a lot of video games don't have really good representation in them.
What?
So it's basically like, I know,
Shocker.
you wouldn't think
right?
this, but it's like 90% of the time, it's like white male protagonists.
Yeah, big muscly
I have
white
no
dude.
idea why.
Gruff voice.
Haven't noticed that. Have not
Big
noticed
shooty
that.
gun.
No.
Pick up on that?
Neither
Okay, it's a
Allison nor
thing.
I
It's
have
a
noticed
thing.
this.
Yeah.
Weird.
But Overwatch is pretty well known for having an incredibly diverse and interesting roster of characters.
Yeah.
So did you have a favorite?
I liked, oh god, I'm gonna try to remember, it was like Farah? Is that her name?
Farah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flying girl with a bazooka.
Yeah. I liked her a lot, but I would have liked her if I had more time with her, just because there was so much going on. Excuse me, with the flying. Then Bastion I liked a lot just because it was like you plant and then you get to machine gun the fuck out of them.
Good starter. Yeah, good starter.
It's a good starter character.
Absolutely.
But I loved the range of characters for sure, and I loved Farah I think those were really the two main ones that I played, because once I found Bastion, I like held on to him like a security blanket.
Right.
It was like,
That's called your main. So you main Bastion.
Yes,
my main Bastion.
Bringing it back to the podcast, do you have like a favorite episode from putting out with Rachel?
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's like, what's your favorite child? And it's obviously the choir one.
The choir one was particularly
Thank
good,
you.
I will say.
Yeah.
I very enjoyed it's Slavic choir, is that right?
Yeah, so I'm in a community choir, and it's all Slavic folk music, and it's all women or people who identify as women. So yeah, I liked that one a lot, just because it's become like this past year. I've only been in it for less than a year now. But it's become a huge passion of mine, and it's opened up so many doors for me, brought music sort of back into my everyday life, and also the woman who was in the choir with me that I interviewed, we talked about it, and it went into this cool conversation about gender and like internalized misogyny, and I was like, this is awesome. I think that one would probably be my favorite, just because I got to like showcase the choir so much, and because it's like my baby and I love it. The one I just recently put out about moving is really cool too. I profiled a couple friends who are making big moves after like divorces, and it's big like changes and things that they've wanted for a long time, and I put that out like right alongside Independence Day, because that theme. But
Independence.
Yeah, because
Independence,
that thing.
No, I really like that episode.
Oh, thank you.
Is there something that you're like really excited about on the horizon that's coming up that you want to talk about? Or do you have any spoilers for us?
Spoilers. Oh man, I have so many ideas. There are a couple. So I don't know if any of you remember Casey. She is currently she's biking across the country with her girlfriend, and she's coming east.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's coming east. So and then there's in Philly towards the end of the summer there's a naked bike ride. So I'm going to do that this year, and so I'm doing like a biking episode, hopefully putting both of those things in there. Also, oh god, this one is the most terrifying. I am working on my Type 5 to do a stand-up, do like an open mic stand-up in Philly.
That's awesome.
Oh my god.
When is that?
I don't know.
You should let us know specifically
let us
when
know.
that is.
I will totally.
We're not too far. I'm not too far to the south.
He's not.
We'll get you some Gamebrew plants in the
Oh
audience.
yeah, laugh at
I'll just laugh really
literally
loud.
every day. Yeah, so I'm excited for that one, because I've done stuff in comedy before, done improv and sketch writing, but I haven't like ventured into stand-up just because it's scary as a woman. Like, I've had some pretty bad experiences with cisgendered men in the stand-up world particularly. So that's a multifaceted fear that I got going on. So
damn the man, Rachel.
Yeah, damn the man. Damn that man.
Wait, what? What did I do?
Yeah. Damn you, man.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, if you want to find Rachel's podcast, you can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Google Play. You can find it on Stitcher. Can you find it on Stitcher?
Yeah, I'm on Stitcher.
Oh man, she's on all this stuff.
Thanks.
And it's at Putting Out with Rachel, the podcast, and we're so glad to have her on our show. So that's it for the first half. When we come back, we will talk about how gaming affects our lives in general. And stick with us. Hello and welcome back to the second half of the Gamebrew podcast, episode 30. Are we at 34?
Yeah.
This is 34, yep.
We've been at this a while.
I know.
This is a long time.
I've been at this less, but
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah. It's been
It's
so
okay.
long.
That's all right. It's probably more mentally draining for you than it is for us at this point. So
It's probably true.
How's Lord Hobo sitting with us? Is everybody still enjoying it?
yeah.
Oh, God.
Rachel's double enjoying it. Are you
Yeah,
done
Ra-
with both?
No!
Rachel?
This is the beginning of my
Okay.
second, and I'm...
Well, you opened two.
I know.
So do you mean the beginning of your second or the beginning of your third?
No, my
well, the thing was,
second.
yeah, she pounded one and I missed it because my everything froze. So I think she needs to pound this one so I can watch it this time. Because all I heard was it went all over, and I missed it, and I'm really upset.
We're ready, Rachel. We're waiting. We're waiting.
No,
Please
I'm
go
out
ahead.
of fucking college. I am not gonna be peer pressured.
No, I was
We're
kidding.
adults,
So-
God
no,
damn
I've
it.
so
never
kidding.
chugged a beer since college.
Oh,
Chris said that I downed one, and by down I took a gulp of both at the same time, and I spilled.
Oh,
That's what happened.
That's what adults
That's
do.
what adults do. Excuse me. People who
it's
are
okay. I'm drinking wine. I'm drinking wine from the
my
bottle,
God, yes.
so I'm
fine.
not
We're
any
all
better
adults
right
here.
now.
I make this joke that ever since I joined this all women's choir, my wine consumption has tripled, and my clothing shopping has also doubled because we have not costumes, I guess themes for every performance, and I didn't have stripes, so I had to buy things. So I drink.
How did you not have stripes?
I know, I'm such a terrible woman.
You're solids
awful.
all the
I can't
time?
believe you.
Yeah, I know. I'm a fashion disaster.
Allison, are you enjoying your prisoner? Wait, what is it called? Prisoner? Prisoner 18? Prisoner 20?
19 crimes.
19.
You're just making up words.
I
like it, though.
but
I
it's
mean, they're
very
real
long.
words.
Yeah, in honor of the upcoming Bastille Day. I like it.
Yes.
Yes.
Totally
July,
on purpose.
July
Definitely.
14th. Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely, absolutely on purpose.
Vive la France.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I'm glad I tried this a couple podcasts ago, actually, because I really do enjoy 19 Crimes now. So it's on my list of one of my favorite wines because it's fun and it's good.
There is also a beer called The Prisoner, a wine called The Prisoner, which you should try at some point.
Okay, I will get that on my next.
It's super, super delish. Okay, so second half, a lot of us, myself, I went on a vacation. Chris went on a vacation. Rachel is just diving back into games after a fairly long hiatus. So I thought it might be interesting to look at games from a very high up perspective, to take the eagle's eye view of games and think about how it affects our lives broadly. So I guess I just want to throw that question out there and say, is there a difference between when you're playing games and when you're not playing games in your life, and what is that difference?
I'll go ahead and start here. So I haven't really come back from gaming, I guess, but I have taken a really long break this week, other than playing a little bit of Lego, and last week because I've been working a ridiculous amount.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten to play video games, and as a person who finds it therapeutic, I am stressed I am so much more on edge right now and just overwhelmed because it's really a release for me. And it's something that chills me out. And like when I was young, I always did it and I never really thought about it. But looking back, I always played, like JRPGs a lot were my big things. And it was the same reason I liked Dungeons and Dragons. And it was the same reason I read fantasy books. I loved the escape. The idea that I was someone else, and in a video game, you literally get to be that character and play as them, and it escapes the crazy of life for me. So I've had panic attacks this week, and I have those, but I've had like 2 in the last 2 weeks. And that's very weird for me. And I honestly think it's because I haven't been playing games. And that's kind of weird to think about and say that may be part of it. But I really do think so. So for me, that's kind of crazy to think about. But I think it really is helping my mental health. And I miss it.
I feel like definitely escape is a form of therapy in general, and if gaming is your escape, then like more power to you. Do what you need to do for sure.
So one of the I don't know if I told you guys, but I got a PS4 very recently. Did I bring that up?
You mentioned this. You talked about a tiny indie game called God of War that you were playing.
Yeah, because I really wanted to do that.
Something about some character named Boy.
We're mentioning a lot of indie games lately. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, there was one I've been playing on. If you're a PlayStation Plus member this month, Heavy Rain is free for PlayStation Plus members, which was a PS3 title, which you can download on the PS4. Which I mean is basically like it starts out kind of as oh hey, look, you can do stuff that you would normally do in real life, but in a video game. Type simulator.
Oh, because you're like pushing your kid on a swing and you're like moving dishes around and things like that at the beginning of Heavy Rain.
Yeah, it's kind of like a few weeks ago or a month ago whenever we did Telltale games. It's kind of like that, but to like a whole nother level. Like, because you can actually do the things and you have to do controller movements and stick movements, and they mean more. Like, you miss one thing, you drop a dish, or you miss a punch or something like that. But even like that, because I too, like Allison, have been working a lot and some life stuff's been happening, and that's always really tough. Just to kind of balance. Life makes you freak out and like makes you stress out sometimes. And you just need to disconnect. And even though it is kind of like the same things that you would do in life, even that is kind of like a disconnect, even though it's sometimes stressful and sometimes like not, or sometimes boring or sometimes exciting. Like the thing that is making me upset or like that is stressing me out right now is life. And if I disconnect from that for a little bit, then that kind of gives me the thing that I want that makes me relax and calm down.
Kind of like a reset. You get to reset your brain.
Yes.
Just as a little counterpoint or maybe a different opinion, I found that when I was on vacation and I was more focused on being with my family and like being present in the moment and very much like anti looking at a screen, I felt better. I feel like sometimes like gaming is a thing for me that I like, but it can also be destructive because it's so easy to get wrapped up in it and forget about the things that you need to do or you need to take care of.
I definitely think that can happen. I've seen it a lot. I used to play WoW, and I did it in college, and I did it a lot. I know that there were people that played. Yeah. And I know that there are a lot of people that I played with that were playing even more than I was, and I can't imagine being a productive member of society while playing that game like I did then, or like my friends did. But going back to what you were saying about vacations and then kind of disconnecting that way, so I kind of had the opposite experience. So I obviously did a lot of stuff. I was out in Colorado, so we were outside a lot of the time. But some nights I also brought my Switch, and I brought Mario Kart. And that was some of the most fun we had was us playing Mario Kart together at night after like a long day. And so it kind of brought us all together instead of kind of isolating us. And having that destructive experience like you were talking about.
Yeah, it's different.
So I kind of think there's a lot of things that you have to look at with something like that. I think Ian has valid points, and I think we have valid points too. But the thing is the kind of person that you are, kind of, and how games affect you. I definitely think there are people who can be addicted to games and they do nothing but play games. So those are those people who play WoW. And I knew people like that who played WoW, did nothing else, never left their rooms. It consumed them. And everything's great in moderation. So definitely that's the extreme, right? That's like crazy kind of levels of gaming usage. I don't know what kind of person you are in your normal life, Ian, but as an introverted person, society in general and people coming at me all the time is a negative thing for me in a lot of ways. And I mean, I love my family and I love that. But I also kind of have a different family, I feel like. And I hate to say it this way because that sounds really shitty, but like I a lot of times being with my family is more of a chore than a luxury. And for sure, like I go to lunch with my dad once a week, and that's so nice. And I get to de-stress and I get to chill and we relate, and that's really cool. But if I was on vacation with my family for a week, all I'd want to do is anything else. And I know that's terrible, but it would not be the positive.
That resonates with me a lot, for sure, as far as like the family goes. But I as working in tech, I can totally relate to, as far as just like general screens go, having some space from that, because I don't even want to think about how many waking hours I am in front of a screen, and that's not including like gaming. It's mostly computer and doing shit on that. The few times that I've like consciously stepped away from it has been very freeing. And there have been like studies that have shown that even if you have your phone in another room, you're more focused, like you're better able to concentrate on whatever it is you're doing, even if it's off. Like just having it in another room is helpful sometimes. So I totally get that. As far as gaming goes specifically, like obviously I haven't really been in it for a while just because it didn't really feel like much of an option for me. I think that sort of happened in college because of the Call of Duty type games. Like all of the serious video games were happening with like the guys that I was friends with, and it sort of felt like a joke when I would stop by and try playing, because they would sort of like throw me in the middle of everything and I had no idea what the fuck was going on, and so I would die instantly, and it was hilarious. I mean, it was funny for me too, but like that was sort of my exposure to quote unquote serious games, because like I only had an N64 and I would play Mario Kart, and that didn't feel like real gaming to me.
That's totally real gaming.
I know. Yeah.
I know. Serious business.
No, I totally, that's not how I think. I'm just saying, like, at the time it didn't feel like legit, and so it just sort of went off my radar for a while. But playing a few games this week, and my boyfriend my birthday or something, got me a Super Nintendo Classic thing.
That's awesome.
So I'm rediscovering my love for Super Metroid. And
nice. That's a solid one.
Yeah, and it's cool to like have another option for decompression, because I think oftentimes I tend to just go straight to Netflix or straight to just like the super mind-numbing, just like watching things. But having some sort of decompression that you can interact with, and it being like a play, but like, a less stressful, less active play is exciting for me, is a cool option, especially as an introvert who needs a lot of time alone to recharge. I'm excited to, explore this a bit more, which is part of the reason why I'm taking a break from putting out episodes, because I wanted to spend more time with gaming just to like explore it a bit more before I actually put out any content on it.
I wonder if since you're going to spend a little bit more time with games, Rachel, if something like, have you ever heard of a walking simulator?
Mm-mm.
So this is a genre.
Hold on, this sounds ridiculous.
Not,
have you heard of a walking simulator?
It's not a this is not a legitimate type of game.
Well, feels like you're walking, but you're not.
They don't call it. That's what they call it to make fun of it. It's not literally what the genre of game is.
Is it
called.
really? I'm fine calling it a walking simulator. I'm happy with it. I think it's great. Okay, so
I mean, what else would you call it?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
There was one game that like all of your limbs were different things, and you had to sort of. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Quap.
What was it?
Quap?
You're talking about Quap.
No. That's
Octodad.
a
Was it
different.
Octodad?
I know about Octodad.
no.
Sorry, go ahead.
I love
Walking
that game.
simulator.
So walking simulators are a subgenre that's basically like it's a first-person perspective generally, but they're incredibly story-based and like environment-based, and it's not about like shooting or jumping or like doing something active. It's about experiencing an experience through someone else's eyes, literally. So games like Gone Home, which is about a person who comes back from college to her parents' house and no one is there, and it's kind of like mysterious, but she's really just kind of uncovering the story of her past. Or something like Finch.
What Remains of Edith
What
Finch.
Remains of Edith Finch might be a really interesting experience for you.
It would with the one I heard about the one of the father who created a game after losing his son, like really young.
Oh, that dragon cancer.
This dragon cancer.
That dragon cancer.
Excuse
Not
me.
this one, that one.
Would that fit into this genre as well? I don't.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. It's. I don't think there's a lot of walking.
Okay.
But it's more. Yeah. It's one of those very story heavy games.
Yeah.
Or Night in the Woods actually might be really cool for you.
Oh, and
That's really interesting.
that was one of the ones that I think Anita Scarcesian mentioned as like one of a good one that.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
I just don't know, like, Rachel, do you feel like games are a place you can go to get like story and narrative experience, or is it more like a kind of a mechanical thing for you?
That's an interesting question because like just recently have I thought of it as more of a story thing because I was like watching whatever you call it where they're it's you're not doing anything but it's like story unfolding and
cinematics.
What?
Cinematics.
Sure. And I was watching that and I remember growing up I used to like want to skip all that shit and I just like wanted to play. But like thinking like now it's an interesting way to think about like just a different way of exploring a story, like a different way of digesting a story or being a part of a story. And I haven't really thought about video games in that way so much. And so that's a new concept for me, but it's one that I am interested in exploring for sure.
Has anyone ever had a physical injury from gaming?
Me.
Yes.
My back hurts all the time.
So many.
Yeah, I probably need to get a different gaming chair.
Oh,
My
well,
back hurts.
I was thinking more of like the ones from whenever I used to play Dance Dance Revolution all the time. Which was like,
with the pads that would like you. Did you have like the real pad?
oh yeah, I had the real pad.
yeah.
So
And it, like, slipped all
you,
over the floor?
Yeah, or like the ones in the arcades where you'd like lean back and like have to. And,
Oh
like,
yeah,
use
and have to
your feet.
like put your arms in the.
People are like, "Oh man, that guy's so pro. He's not even using his weight to do anything. He's just leaning back on that bar."
That's how the pros do it, man.
That's how the pros do it.
My injury was from it was Mario Party on N64. it was one of the mini games, and it was the tug of war, I think, and so you have to like spin the joystick, and so I would do it on like the palm. I did it on the palm of my hand.
Yeah.
And it's like impossible to win, and I ended up with this like huge blister or like sore in the middle of my hand. Oh god, that was like the least convenient injury of my life.
Least can
Like there's so many things you do with your hand that like mind blowing. I know, but
I sprained my ankle playing Pokemon Go when it first came out.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
I was really into it, and I was climbing a freaking mountain to get a Charmander. I'm not even joking.
Dude, the first...
Did you get it,
the
though?
first The first
God.
48
That's
hours
worth it.
of Pokemon Go were straight up magical. Like
Yes!
I met people in a city I didn't live in, just like walking around on the street catching Pokemon.
Yes.
It was really cool.
Yeah, I'm not even joking. Like the first day it launched, I was playing my phone. I had my phone out. I had battery packs. I was prepped. I knew this was going to be an intense session. I was out with like 5 of my friends from work, and we were wandering the streets of the city trying to figure out how this game worked. And I was blaring. I had a playlist ready, blaring Pokemon music from my phone while we walk around and caught him. Like I was in the game. It felt amazing. But I tried to climb a mountain and I slipped on a rock and I sprained my ankle and I got the Charmander. And that's all that really mattered.
Chris, bringing it back around to your sort of mixed relationship with WoW, what is it that you think about that game was great and or problematic, and have you experienced that sort of thing since, when you've had to sort of like back off a game just because it's a little bit too consuming?
So let me start with the good things. One of the coolest things about WoW was the fact that you can meet people, especially in that game, because you spend so much time in it, that you can meet people and become really good friends with them without even like meeting them in person.
Yeah.
And I've met 2 people, my friend Sully down in North Carolina and my friend Will in Ohio. I never met them face to face. I hadn't met them face to face, and then one day I decided to go down and meet Sully, and that was really cool. Like he was this big, like 350-pound ex-lineman who played for East Carolina, and like I had no idea he played a priest in WoW, which was always really funny to me. And then I met Will, and I was actually in his wedding. So like there was really cool things like that that could happen in that game that I'm really glad that did happen. As far as negatives go, it probably didn't help in that time of my life when I was trying to be a music major to play WoW, because it was like, did I want to play
Scales
3 hours of tuba a day, or did I want to try and go do a raid? You know, like
Yeah.
I always didn't make the best choice.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Steez.
Yeah, I feel the same
Hope
way
he's not
about
listening
WoW.
to this one.
He
Really not.
does listen
Be
sometimes.
better.
He has listened to these
That
shows.
man.
Yes, yes.
I had the same things with WoW, because that's where I met absolutely one of my top best friends, Carrie. She lives in Texas, and my roommate actually ended up moving out there to live with her. And she just kind of came and visited us and told her, because my roommate couldn't get a job, and she was like, hey, I can get you a job if you want to come out here. And my friend just literally picked up and left, and she came here. We met her. That was the first time we met face to face. It was really cool. And I mean, before we even met, she sent me a computer through the mail.
Oh,
Wow.
right.
That's awesome.
Like, she's the coolest person. One of the best humans in the world. And I met her through that video game. So video games are great for me in that way, because I would not meet people if it weren't for that. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't know you guys.
True.
Like,
True story.
I met Dan a little bit.
I was going to say,
once.
that's not true for me. You knew me before video
Oh
games.
yeah.
Come
And then
on.
we totally kept in contact after that. No, I would like be wallpaper if I could help it.
Oh, don't say that.
So but honestly, like I'm very fortunate that I meet people like you because of playing video games. So I'm glad it's a part of my life in that way.
I will say that the amount of people who have been like, oh my God, you play Rocket League? We should play Rocket League sometime soon.
Let's play League.
That's
I love
awesome, dude.
Rocket
Let's
League.
do that.
I love it
Well,
so
like,
much.
but like even that like is just a thing where like sometimes people will be like, I haven't talked to you since I was in high school, and then now, which was, oh my God, 11
Wait,
years ago.
So someone
But,
like from high school just randomly messaged you one day. It was like, yo, dog, we should play some Rocket League.
well, not like that, but
Because
like
that's kind of cool.
well, I mean, similar to that, but not exactly like that. That seems a little bit simplistic, but more so like oh, hey, I saw that you were talking about Rocket League on your podcast, or I saw you post something about video games. Do you play Rocket League? And those are the kind of things that are just like, oh yeah, I play that too. We should like totally play that together sometime, because you know, people play games together. That's what they're there for. I mean, okay, you can
Rachel
disagree. That's
disagrees.
fine.
I'm kidding.
Rachel disagrees with the games part. No, I mean, but that's my feeling about games in general. Because I mean, I play Dungeons and Dragons. I play video games. I just play a lot of games, And I feel like the reason they're there is for us to interact with each other. Like games,
not all games.
Yeah, and games are great to play by yourself, but like they're better whenever you can play it with other people. Like anything you can do with another person just makes that experience so much more valuable as a human, and on an emotional and like, yeah, just on an emotional level, it makes it like more valuable.
I'm going to argue that reading a book is much harder with someone else there with you.
I mean,
just interrupting you all the time.
Like
I'm
poking you
trying
or
to read.
something?
Come on.
Yeah,
Rachel, you were also making skeptical faces during that. I wonder what they were about.
I mean, I think I'm with you, Dan. Like,
You don't have to be with me.
I'm
if you
saying,
don't
like,
want. That's okay.
on a level, like, I love connecting with people, and I love being silly and play. Like, I love that, and I think that we discount it as adults. Like, that's not an important thing, but that, yeah, definitely quotes around the word adults. But I think that's a very important element in life that not all, again, quote unquote, adults value. So there's that, but also as myself, like there are many things in my life that are much better by myself.
By yourself.
And I'm not like going gross or anything even. I'm just saying like there are things like
only you went there.
Yeah, you went there before
We weren't there yet.
I didn't even
there yet. We're all there
now. I am.
I'm very sorry. That is where my mind goes first and only. But just like I'm just saying, like there are some things, even games that like I think are better by myself. Like for me to like just be by myself. But I like totally see the value both ways. Like I love that it is another, because I'm someone who's sort of like on the periphery of gaming, even like the like tabletop stuff, which a lot of my friends are into as well. And so I go to board game nights and like definitely feel sort of on the stupid side of like what the crap is going on, but like it's just a different way of like it's a different form of communion. And it's great and it's fun and it's just a different way to communicate, a different way to socialize, and I think it's valid for those reasons. But the only faces were like some things are better by yourself.
I'm with Rachel 120%. I play games with people because that's fun, but I also have my me time, my games that I play by myself, and as an extreme introvert, I need that for my battery to recharge, and I appreciate that sometimes way more than playing with you all, although I love you. It's just, some days I'm just like, I need me, I'm sorry, I'm spent.
I concur.
That's
Chris, you're
great.
the best.
That's great.
All right. And
I don't want to beat a dead horse.
I think that's going to be it for the second half of the Gamebrew podcast. So if you have thoughts about how gaming has affected your life, or you want to chime in and let us know how it's changed your life, better, worse, interesting, you can always shout us out at thegamebrew@gmail.com or on the Facebook at The Gamebrew, or you can hit us up on Twitter at The Gamebrew. And don't forget also to check out Putting Out with Rachel. Do you have Twitter handles?
Yeah,
do you have Twitter handles?
I do. And so the Twitter handle is Putting Out Pod because there are character limits. But on Instagram, it's Putting Out Podcast, and on Facebook, it's Putting Out Podcast. I suck at Twitter, so everything on Twitter is basically an Instagram like repost. So just fair warning.
All right, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining us for the Gamebrew Podcast, episode 34. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, can I turn my fan back on now?
Oh, mine's been on.
I'm dying. It is 1,000 degrees in my apartment. That PAX Unplugged shirt is super sexy, Chris.
I like
it. I like
How
the
can you see
purple.
everyone?
I know, it's tonight. How
Can you not see us?
I've only been staring at Ian this entire time.
What? Oh, that's kind of weird.
That's right.
I don't know how to see everyone. Oh, now I'm seeing people.
There you go.
Oh, hi. Oh,
No wonder you couldn't see. There was a whole like 5 minutes of Chris gesticulating to the PAX Unplugged shirt whenever you were talking about like trying new things.
Oh,
and like he was just like,
we went to PAX Unplugged together.
It's you're a little late to the
He stayed at my place.
a little late to the
stayed
show
at
there.
my tiny ass apartment, and
yeah.
oh, that was an adventure.